Hi. I just wanted to talk about something that I find to be very, very funny. There's this interesting phenomena of so you know how what's it called? I think Hotok. Yeah? Exists, right? There's this interesting phenomena of regular women thinking that if they take advice off of sex workers, that somehow they will be clued up enough, given enough game to avoid being played by men. No one can avoid being played no one can avoid being played because of advice on the internet. Okay, you might be able to avoid like the obvious okie dokes, but like the way people play you is normally unique to you. Because as we talk to people and get to know them, they get to know us, they know our strengths and our weaknesses, even just by talking. We reveal a lot of information about ourselves. So there's no getting away from it. I find it very funny though. I really wanted to highlight, there'll be like a 25-year, like someone be like 45, 50 taking advice off of, I don't know, a 26-year-old stripper who made a YouTube video or a TikTok. And somehow thinking that like, oh, yeah, that's it. That's this is how I'm gonna stay clued up. Like, you're like double her age. How do you not already know like the obvious tricks of life? I don't understand. And then secondly, like I've said, there are so many ways to scam people. Because I mean, playing someone is romantically is essentially scamming them. There are so many ways to scam people that you would never actually be able to avoid all of them. There's always going to be, and this goes for both genders, there's always going to be something that you'll fall for. And people don't like to hear that, because they like to feel like if they acquire a certain amount of knowledge that they become immune. There's no immunity. And secondly, I keep saying and secondly and third, okay, let me just carry on talking. Not to make fun of anyone's background, but a lot of these women come from very troubled backgrounds. These are the people who had like mentally unstable parents that kicked them out at 15, or like the parents who were like, they both technically live at home but one of them was never there, or they were both always super busy working, so they were essentially raising themselves. Yeah, they don't have like the most stable backgrounds. And also, someone who has decided to leave love alone and focus on just being transactional. How are you, who still believes in Prince Charming or the regular guy giving her 2.5 kids in a white picket fence house, gonna take advice from someone who doesn't want any of that? Or who, for what you can see, is showing that they don't want any of that? How does that actually help you? It doesn't. Like, yes, all men are trash, all men are terrible, but the second a guy who she finds to be decent or alright wants to be with her, she's run off and got one. This can apply to many people, not just who you're thinking of. The second that happens, she's run off. I mean, the truth is, you can't even blame him. Because if Prince Charming presents himself, everyone's going to run off with Prince Charming. It's just some people are going to lie about it and say no. Lie about it and say no that they wouldn't. That's all that's happening. I just wanted to rant about this, but really, yeah, that's how it is. When you take advice from people on the internet, you have to remember that everyone has their own motives and their own desires that you're not going to know about. Yeah, you don't know who will switch up when new stimuli is presented to them. Wait, no, stimuli doesn't get presented to you. You know what? When they see Prince Charming, you don't know who's gonna switch up. So take everything you see online with a grain of salt. Furthermore, there was something else I wanted to say. in this vein. Furthermore, yes, you see those girls who get married at like 20 and then they start giving relationship advice. They get married at 20 to an older man. It's a similar thing, but only minus the, minus the sex work. Basically, for those people, basically for a lot of them, I mean, again, it's the same stories when you listen to their upbringing. These are the people who are getting kicked out the house at like 15 or 16 and had to fend for themselves. So they did what they had to do out of necessity, but that's not really a person that your regular ass upbringing self should be taking advice of. Basically, unless you want to be in that person's exact situation, you probably shouldn't take advice off of them. This is just true. But like, yeah, for that specific topic. Yeah. But what was I saying? Because really, what can that person tell you? Like, we all have different life experiences, but what can that person tell you about like true love? They can't. Because the desire to get off the streets or to have a stable home was there. That's like the main driving force. You can't even lie and say it wasn't. And notice, I'm not smiling. None of this stuff is funny, but that's just how it is. And even when it comes to anyone's advice, go take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, I know. Even me. But then, the stuff that I'm telling you is the same stuff that Google will tell you if you go and if you get the stuff that I'm telling you, yeah, when it comes to like fitness and that, it's the same stuff that Google will tell you if you bothered to actually search. It's the same stuff that those academic journals will tell you if you bothered to read them. It's the same stuff that your slim friends in real life would tell you if you bothered to actually listen to them properly. How can you actually need to be put on game when you're married? Just leave him, man. Like, I know. It's not, I'm not trying to sound like those people who say you should leave the guy at every single, like, little instance. But if we've gotten to the point where you, as like a 45-year-old, need to take advice off of women who have chosen taboo careers to take dating advice off of women who are half your age that have chosen taboo careers, I don't know, man. I don't think your relationship can be saved at that point. Yeah, man, I think there's something, I think there's something serious going on there. And maybe they can give you a couple beauty tips, but tips on your actual like ability to navigate the relationship. How? I don't know, people just really need to think about the advice that they're taking and how they're implementing it and who they're taking it from, because a lot of times you may be listening to someone who has a completely different idea on relationships to you. They want a completely different thing to you. Just like, you can watch what you want, because we all know most people watch content for confirmation bias or something to keep them busy while they are like, something to keep their mind busy while they are like cleaning or washing plates. But like, yeah, we all gotta stop and think, really.